Everyday habits that are slowly destroying your car. Your car is dying right now. Not from a crash, not from bad luck. It is dying from things you do every single day without even knowing it. Small stuff. Stuff that feels totally normal. Stuff you have probably done this very week. And here is the scary part. By the time you notice something is wrong, the damage is already done. What could have been a $5 fix turns into a $2,000 repair bill. I am not saying that to scare you for no reason. I am saying it because it is true, and almost nobody talks about it until it is too late. Today, I am going to walk you through the everyday habits that are quietly wrecking your car. Some of these will shock you. Some of these you are probably doing right now without realizing it. And one of them, the one coming up near the end, is so common that almost every driver on the road does it, and it can cost you thousands of dollars in a single moment. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to look at your daily drive completely differently. The silent killer you do every morning. Let us start with something that happens before you even leave your driveway. It is the very first thing you do when you get in your car, and most people get it completely wrong. Think about your car engine like your own body first thing in the morning. When you wake up, you do not jump out of bed and sprint down the street at full speed. Your muscles are stiff. Your joints need to loosen up. If you tried to run a race the second you opened your eyes, you would probably pull something. Your engine is the exact same way. While your car sits overnight, the oil inside it settles down into the bottom of the engine. It gets thick and slow, kind of like honey that has been sitting in the fridge. Cold honey does not pour easily. It moves in slow, thick globs. That is exactly what is happening to the oil in your engine after it sits all night. Now here is the problem. The moment you turn that key and drive off right away, all the metal parts inside your engine start moving and rubbing against each other before that thick, cold oil has a chance to spread around and coat everything. For a few seconds, sometimes longer, parts of your engine are basically grinding metal on metal with barely any protection. Every single time you do this, it wears your engine down just a tiny bit. One time will not kill your car. But do this every single morning for years, and you are looking at real damage. Piston rings wear out faster. Seals dry out and crack sooner than they should. Your engine simply ages faster than it needs to. The fix is so simple it almost feels silly. All you need to do is give your car about 30 seconds to a minute before you start driving hard. You do not need to sit there for 10 minutes like some people do, wasting gas and time. You just need enough time for that oil to loosen up and start flowing through the engine the way it is supposed to. If you live somewhere that gets really cold, like deep winter cold, give it a little extra time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Otherwise, 30 seconds to a minute is all your car needs. But here is where it gets even more interesting, because warming up your engine is only half the story. A huge number of people are making this problem worse without even knowing it, and it has to do with how far they actually drive. If most of your trips in the car are short, like driving 5 minutes to the store or 10 minutes to drop off your kids, your engine might never actually get to its proper running temperature before you shut it off again. And when your engine runs cold for most of its life, gas does not burn completely inside it. That leftover unburned fuel can actually wash oil off the walls inside your engine, leaving metal parts less protected than they should be. Over time, short trip after short trip, this builds up gunk inside your engine that should never be there. It is one of the most overlooked habits out there because it does not feel like you are doing anything wrong. You are just driving to the store, but your engine is quietly suffering every single time. So, what can you do about it? If most of your driving is short trips, try to take your car on a longer drive at least once a week, something 15 to 20 minutes long, so the engine actually gets hot enough to burn off that extra buildup and run the way it was designed to run. It sounds too easy to actually matter, but mechanics see the difference between short-trip-only cars and regularly driven cars all the time, and it is not subtle. Now, before we keep going, I want to ask you for something, but I promise it is not a random ask. If you actually want to stop wasting money on repairs that never needed to happen in the first place, hit that subscribe button right now. I go through car problems like this every single week, the kind that most people never learn about until they are standing in a mechanic shop holding a bill they cannot believe. Subscribing means you catch these habits early, before they turn into expensive lessons. And if this video is opening your eyes even a little bit so far, tap that like button too. It tells me you want more of these breakdowns, and trust me, what is coming up next is even more surprising than what we just covered. Because warming up your engine and taking longer drives is just the beginning. Some of the worst damage to your car does not happen out on the highway at all. It happens in places you would never expect, like your own driveway or the parking lot at the grocery store. The parking lot habits wrecking your ride. Here is something wild to think about. A lot of the damage that ruins cars early does not happen while you are speeding down a highway. It happens at speeds under 15 miles an hour in parking lots, driveways, and quiet neighborhood streets. Places where you feel totally safe and are not even thinking about your car at all. Let us start with speed bumps. You know the ones. They are placed in parking lots to make people slow down. But so many drivers just blast right over them like they are not even there. Here is why that is such a problem. Your car is not built to handle sudden jolts like that. Think about jumping off a step. If you land with your knees locked straight, that jolt goes right up through your legs and into your back, and it hurts. But if you bend your knees when you land, your body absorbs the shock and it barely hurts at all. Your car suspension works the same way your knees do. It is designed to soak up bumps smoothly, not to slam into them at full speed. When you fly over a speed bump too fast, that shock goes straight into your suspension, your tires, and even parts of your frame. Do that enough times, and parts start to loosen, wear out, or even crack sooner than they should. Now, I am not saying you need to creep over every bump like a turtle either. Some people come to a full stop and inch across for 10 seconds, and that is just unnecessary. You just need to slow down to a gentle, steady pace, roll over it smoothly, and keep going. Potholes are the evil cousin of speed bumps, and honestly, they are worse. At least you can see a speed bump coming from far away. Potholes hide in the road, especially at night or in the rain, and hitting one hard is like your tire getting punched by concrete. This can throw off your car alignment instantly, meaning your wheels are no longer pointed the exact way they should be. You might not even notice right away. But over time, bad alignment wears your tires unevenly, makes your car harder to control, and can even damage your suspension permanently. If you see a pothole coming and it is safe to do so, steer around it or slow way down before you hit it. It genuinely can save you hundreds of dollars in alignment and tire repairs. Now here is one almost nobody talks about, and it might be happening to you right now without you even knowing it is a problem. It is called dry steering, and it means turning your steering wheel hard while your car is sitting completely still, like when you are trying to squeeze into a tight parking spot. It feels harmless because the car is not even moving. But think about twisting your foot hard into the ground without actually stepping forward. That twisting motion puts a lot of strain on one spot instead of spreading it out naturally like it would if you were actually rolling forward. When you dry steer your car, you are grinding your tires against the pavement in one spot and putting extra strain on your power steering system every single time. Do this often enough, and you will wear down your tires faster and put unnecessary stress on parts that are expensive to fix. The easy fix is simple. Let your car roll forward just a tiny bit while you turn the wheel instead of cranking it while sitting still. It takes the exact same amount of time, but it is so much easier on your car. Next, let us talk about something that happens when you are trying to park. Picture this scenario. You are pulling forward into a spot, but you actually need to back in, so you shift into reverse while the car is still rolling forward, even just a little bit. This might seem like no big deal, saving you half a second, but your transmission is built to send power in one direction at a time. When you shove it into reverse while your car is still moving forward, you are asking your transmission to suddenly fight against the direction it is currently spinning. Some newer cars have safety features that prevent this from causing damage, but plenty of cars do not, especially older ones or manual transmissions. Doing this regularly can wear down your transmission much faster than it should, and transmission repairs are some of the most expensive repairs your car can ever need. The fix here could not be simpler. Just wait that extra second or two for your car to come to a full and complete stop before you shift gears. It costs you nothing but a moment of patience. And finally, let us talk about the parking brake, because so many people never use it at all. A lot of drivers just park, shove the car into park, and walk away, never touching the parking brake. But if you always rely only on your transmission to hold your car in place, especially on any kind of hill or slope, you are putting extra strain on a tiny little part inside your transmission every single time. That part is not designed to hold the full weight of your car by itself over and over again. Using your parking brake takes that pressure off completely. It only takes 2 seconds to use, and it can add real life to your transmission over the years. So that covers what happens when you are moving slowly or sitting still. But here is where things get even more interesting, because your car is constantly trying to tell you when something is wrong. The scary part is how many people are trained to just ignore it. The warning signs you are ignoring. Every car comes with its own way of talking to you. It uses lights, sounds, and little signals to say, hey, something is not right here. And yet, so many people have gotten so good at tuning these warnings out that their car could practically be screaming and they would not notice. Let us start with the most obvious one, the check engine light. You know the one. That little orange or yellow engine-shaped light that pops up on your dashboard. Here is what usually happens. It turns on, you get a little worried, you take it in, and the mechanic tells you it is something small, like an oxygen sensor, which is a cheap little part that helps your engine run efficiently. You think, okay, that is not a big deal, I will deal with it later, and you just keep driving with the light on. Here is the problem with that. Your check engine light does not have levels. It is not like it turns bright red for something serious and stays dim orange for something small. It is just on or off. That is it. So the moment you get used to seeing it on and ignoring it, you have basically broken your own alarm system. If something way more serious happens down the road, like a real engine problem that could leave you stranded on the highway, you have no way of knowing, because that same light has been on for months for a completely different reason. It becomes the boy who cried wolf, except this time, the wolf is a very real repair bill. The right move is to always get your check engine light looked at as soon as it turns on, even if you assume it is something minor. That way, if it ever means something serious, you will actually notice and act fast. Now, let us talk about strange noises, because your car makes noise for a reason every single time. A squeal when you brake, a grinding sound when you turn, a clunk when you go over a bump. These are not random. Your car does not just randomly decide to make weird sounds for fun. Every strange noise is your car telling you that some part is wearing down, loose, or damaged. The problem is that most people get used to a noise after hearing it a few times, and they start to tune it out completely, the same way you might stop noticing a ticking clock in your house after a while. But ignoring a noise does not fix whatever is causing it. It just gives that problem more time to get worse and more expensive. If your car ever starts making a sound it was not making before, do not wait for it to go away on its own. Sounds like that almost never disappear. They almost always get worse. Next, let us talk about gas, because this one surprises a lot of people. Every car has a specific type of gas it is built to use, and it is usually printed right near the gas cap or inside your owner's manual. Some cars need a stronger, higher grade of fuel, and if you put in a weaker, cheaper grade instead just to save a few dollars, you might think you are getting away with it because your car still drives. But here is what is actually happening. Your engine is tuned to burn a very specific type of fuel in a very specific way. When you give it a weaker fuel than it needs, that fuel can burn a little differently inside the engine than it is supposed to, creating tiny shockwaves inside your engine that are sometimes called knocking. You might not even feel it happening, but over time, this knocking can wear down engine parts that are extremely expensive to replace. Saving $5 or $10 at the gas pump today is simply not worth risking a repair that could cost thousands later. If your car needs a certain type of gas, always use it. It is one of the easiest rules to follow and one of the most ignored. And finally, let us talk about something almost everyone has done at least once: running your car on nearly empty. It might seem harmless, since the car still drives just fine even with the gas light on. But think of your gas tank like a glass of water with a little bit of sand at the very bottom. As long as there is plenty of water in the glass, that sand just sits quietly at the bottom, not bothering anything. But once the water gets low, that sand starts getting stirred up and pulled into whatever you are drinking from. Your gas tank works in a similar way. There is naturally some tiny bits of debris that settle at the bottom over time. When your tank is full or even half full, your fuel pump stays safely away from that debris. But when you constantly let your tank run low, your fuel pump starts pulling in fuel from right where that debris settles, which can clog up your fuel system and wear out your fuel pump way before it should ever fail. Fuel pumps are not cheap to replace, and this is one of those slow, quiet habits that adds up over months and years without you ever realizing it is happening. The fix is simple. Try not to let your tank drop below a quarter full on a regular basis. It might mean a few extra trips to the gas station, but it protects a part of your car that is genuinely painful and expensive to fix. All of these warning signs, the lights, the sounds, the fuel level, they are your car's way of asking for help before things get serious. But here is where things take an even stranger turn, because there is a whole category of damage happening to your car right now that gives you no warning at all. No light, no sound, nothing. It just quietly builds up in places you cannot even see. The hidden damage you can never see. This next section might be the most surprising part of this entire video, because these habits do not just wear your car down slowly. Some of them can cause damage that seems to come out of absolutely nowhere, even though it has actually been building for months. Let us start with something that only matters depending on where you live, but if it applies to you, it is a huge deal. If you live somewhere that gets snow and ice, your roads probably get covered in salt during the winter to help melt the ice. That salt does its job on the road, but it does not just disappear once it melts. It sticks to the underside of your car, all over your frame, your exhaust, and other important metal parts, hiding underneath your vehicle where you never look. And salt is incredibly good at one specific thing: eating away at metal over time. If you drive through salted roads all winter and never rinse the underside of your car, that salt just sits there, slowly rotting away metal parts you cannot even see from the driver's seat. Here is a real example of how bad this can actually get. Imagine a metal part that connects your steering system to your wheels, a part your entire ability to steer your car depends on. Now imagine that part slowly rusting away underneath your car for years without anyone noticing, because it is hidden and nobody thinks to check it. Then one day, while just driving normally, that part snaps completely with zero warning. That is not some rare horror story. That is exactly the kind of thing that happens to cars that never get their undercarriage cleaned after winter driving. The fix is honestly pretty simple. If you drive through salted roads, try to rinse the underside of your car every few weeks during winter, even just with a basic hose or a car wash that includes an undercarriage rinse. It is a small effort that protects parts of your car that are extremely dangerous and expensive if they fail. Now let us talk about something that sounds almost too strange to be true, but happens far more often than people realize. Leaving food, wrappers, or crumbs in your car. It seems harmless, right? You finish a snack, toss the wrapper on the floor, and forget about it. But that little bit of food left behind can actually attract something you really do not want anywhere near your car, and that is rodents. Mice and other small critters are drawn to food smells, and once they find a way into your car, whether through a tiny gap near the engine or just an open window, they do not just eat your leftover fries. They chew on wires, actual electrical wires that control important parts of your car. Wires are apparently very appealing to chew on for some rodents, and once they start gnawing through your car's wiring, you can end up with electrical problems that are incredibly difficult and expensive to track down and fix, sometimes costing thousands of dollars just to find where the damage is hiding. This is one of those things that sounds made up until it happens to you, and mechanics see it happen constantly, especially with cars parked outside near trees, fields, or garages. The fix is simple. Do not leave food, wrappers, or crumbs sitting in your car for long periods of time. A quick clean out every week or two removes the temptation entirely. And let us finish this section with something that damages the inside of your car instead of the mechanical parts, but is still a real and expensive problem: sun damage. If you constantly park outside without any kind of sun protection, direct sunlight beating down on your dashboard and seats day after day slowly breaks down the materials inside your car. Plastic dashboards can fade, crack, and even warp from months of direct heat exposure. Leather or fabric seats can dry out, fade in color, and crack over time as well. It happens so slowly that most people do not even notice until one day they look at their dashboard and realize it looks nothing like it did when the car was new. A simple sunshade for your windshield, or parking in shade whenever possible, can genuinely add years of life to the inside of your car, keeping it looking newer for much longer. So now you have seen the hidden stuff, the damage that happens quietly with absolutely no warning at all. But there is one more category left, and honestly, this might be the most important one of the entire video. These are the big mistakes, the ones that do not just wear your car down slowly over time. These are the ones that can cause serious damage in a single moment, sometimes costing thousands of dollars from just one bad decision. The big mistakes that cost thousands. We have covered the small stuff and the hidden stuff. Now let us talk about the habits that can cause real expensive damage almost instantly if you are not careful. First up, overloading your car. This means constantly packing your trunk and back seat full of heavy stuff, way more than your car is actually built to carry. Every car has a weight limit, even if most people never think about it or even know where to find that number. If you constantly drive around with hundreds of extra pounds in your trunk, think about what that does to your car. Imagine wearing a heavy backpack every single day, all day long, even when you are just walking around your house, doing nothing important. Over time, that extra weight would put real strain on your back and your knees, even if it did not hurt right away. Your car suspension experiences the exact same kind of strain when it is constantly carrying way more weight than it was designed for. This wears out your suspension, your brakes, and even your tires much faster than normal. If you have a truck that is actually built to carry heavy loads, that is a different story, since that is exactly what it was designed for. But for a regular car, try to keep the extra weight to a minimum, and only load it up heavy when you actually need to for a specific trip. Next, let us talk about constantly flooring it, meaning slamming the gas pedal all the way down and pushing your engine to its absolute limit over and over again. Now, here is the thing. Doing this every once in a while on an empty road where it is safe is not the end of the world. Plenty of cars are actually built to handle the occasional hard push. The real problem is doing this constantly, as a regular habit, every single time you accelerate. Think of it like sprinting. Running as fast as you possibly can once in a while is fine for your body. But if you tried to sprint at your absolute top speed every single time you needed to walk somewhere, your body would break down eventually. Your engine works in a similar way, constantly redlining it, meaning pushing it to its highest possible speed over and over, puts a huge amount of stress on your engine that adds up fast. It wears down engine parts much sooner than they should wear out, and it is honestly one of the fastest ways to age an engine years before its time. Now here is one that connects to something we already talked about, but it deserves its own spotlight because of how serious it can get, and that is constantly slamming on your brakes. If you are the type of driver who speeds toward every stop sign or red light and then slams the brakes hard at the very last second, you are putting a massive amount of extra stress on your brake pads and rotors every single time you do it. Brakes are already a part of your car that naturally wears down over time, since that is literally their job. But slamming them constantly speeds up that wear dramatically, meaning you will be paying for brake replacements far more often than you should ever need to. The fix here is all about timing. If you see a red light or a stop sign ahead of you, start easing off the gas early and let your car slow down gradually, instead of flying toward it and stomping the brakes at the last possible second. It takes a little bit of planning ahead, but it can genuinely double or even triple the life of your brakes. If you drive a manual transmission car, there is one more habit that causes serious damage, and that is riding the clutch. This means resting your foot on the clutch pedal, even just slightly, while you are driving instead of fully pressing it down or fully releasing it. Think about dragging your foot slightly while riding a skateboard. Even just a small amount of constant friction like that wears things down fast. Your clutch works using friction to connect and disconnect power from your engine, and if you are constantly resting your foot on it, even just a little bit, you are creating unnecessary friction and heat that wears the clutch down far faster than normal driving would. Clutch replacements are not cheap, and this is one of the most common reasons they wear out early. If you drive a manual, make it a habit to keep your foot completely off the clutch pedal unless you are actually shifting gears. And finally, let us talk about one very specific habit that applies to cars with a turbocharger, which is a small part that boosts your engine's power, often found in smaller, more powerful engines. If you have been driving hard, like on the highway at higher speeds, and then you pull into your driveway and immediately shut the car off, you might be causing damage without even realizing it. When a turbocharger has been working hard, it gets extremely hot, hotter than most other parts of your engine. If you shut the engine off immediately after hard driving, the oil that was flowing through the turbocharger to cool it down suddenly stops moving completely, while the turbocharger itself is still incredibly hot. This can actually cook and damage the oil sitting inside it, which over time can cause serious and expensive damage to the turbocharger itself. The fix is simple. After a period of hard or highway driving, let your car idle for about 30 seconds to a minute before shutting it off completely. This gives everything a chance to cool down safely before the oil stops flowing. And there you have it. Every single one of these habits feels small on its own. A quick start in the morning, a fast trip over a speed bump, ignoring a light on your dashboard for one more day. But add all of these up over months and years, and they are exactly why so many cars end up needing repairs way earlier than they should, or why some cars last 20 years while others barely make it to 10. The good news in all of this is that every single habit we talked about today has an easy fix. None of these require you to be a mechanic or spend extra money. They just require a little bit of awareness and a few small changes to how you treat your car every single day. If this video opened your eyes to something you did not know before, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel keep making videos like this. And if you have not already, subscribe and turn on notifications, because next week I am covering another set of car habits that most people have never even heard of. And trust me, some of them are even more surprising than what we just went through. Now I want to hear from you. Out of everything in this video, which habit did you have absolutely no idea about? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and it genuinely helps me pick topics for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.